No, I am not drunk, but for the sake of numbing the pain, that may have been the more logical thing to do. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episodes 8. 4.5 Vulcans. I hated this. I hated every single second of this. Almost. But yeah, effectively, I hated this entire thing. And the thing was, I should have gotten drunk while watching it, because I knew I was going to hate this. Because this was the episode that they had a clip from that they shared, like, I guess it was at a Comic-Con or something. They shared it months ahead of the season airing. And I hated that clip. It is, if you don't recall or didn't see it at the time, is when the 4 members of the crew get injected with the thing to become Vulcans, and we see their initial reaction. And the first thing they do is be racist at Spock. I knew I was going to hate this, and I really, really did. Where do we start? Okay. As I have established, actually fairly recently, because I've had now to endure multiple things in pretty rapid succession that dip into this. I had to talk about the first season of We Are Lady Parts. I had to talk about the 3rd episode of Peacemaker. Like, I've been dealing with a lot of cringe lately, and I hate cringe. I especially hate cringe comedy. And I super especially hate cringe comedy accompanied by a bouncy soundtrack. Guess what this has? God, I freaking hate, like, John Williams is a legend, but I blame him for this because, like, you listen to the some of the tracks, that aren't the iconic ones, from Star Wars, like, especially, the sort of stuff they would have accompany Jar Jar, which he's not at fault for Jar Jar, but that music, that sort of bouncy, oh, everything's goofy, kind of music, I freaking hate that. It makes all of the cringe worse. How bad was the cringe in this? This was one of those instances where I had to actually mute it and just read the captions because I freaking could not stand it. It makes my skin crawl. I hate this. And it would be one thing if it was only cringe. But it's not. It's cringe with a side of eugenics. What do I mean? Well, right off the bat, we're in trouble. Based off the fact that having their DNA altered so that they are physically Vulcans suddenly turns all 4 of them racist. That's a problem for several reasons. There is the fact that the show is basically making the argument that racism is logical. It's not. But also, just beyond that, Vulcans are not logic by nature, by DNA. They are logic by culture. And so immediately having all 4 of them adopt the cultural specifics of Vulcans leans into the idea that your culture is in your genes, which, holy crap, do I need to talk about the kinds of people who sincerely believe that? Now, as I'm sure some of you are already angrily typing at me in the comments, yes, I did catch that one random throwaway line that is intended to cover for this. There's this one little throwaway line about how they absorbed Spock's cultural something or other. And, like, it's this throwaway line, and it's done that way because they're hoping most of the audience doesn't even realize that Vulcans are not genetically logical, they're culturally logical. And that throwaway line is to cover for those who do know that this shouldn't be happening. But they're not actually going to explore that concept at all. And it's not delved into. It's just a line of technobabble to facilitate the thing that the show decided it wanted to inflict on me for some goddamn reason. So I just have to watch all these actors who are for the most part, charismatic, entertaining to watch, play jackass, and not even jackass versions of themselves. Pike especially, look, that performance felt way off. Some of them seemed like there was some kind of nuance to there. Like, okay, you could maybe pull off a Vulcan. Pike was just like, what the hell are you doing, man? I don't know if it was that he wasn't taking the assignment seriously, which, I mean, fair. Script sucks. Concept sucks. Whatever. Or if he just couldn't pull off what he was trying to do, or if he was directed badly. I don't know. Because they did try and have each of these Vulcans be slightly different, so they're not homogenized, although that brings us to the stuff that is very clearly eugenics and doesn't have a throwaway line that tries to paper over it, but that's later. We'll get to that. I thought I was just going to have to deal with the cringe of people behaving like they're not supposed to, asking and or demanding things that they shouldn't, like Pike's reorganization of the the work schedule, and Chapel being like, friendship is illogical. I should work all the time. Sleep is illogical. Like, oh, for crying out loud. It's just all such bottom of the barrel nonsense, and none of it's funny, at least not to me. But that was the cringe I was prepared for. You know what I wasn't prepared for? For Una to turn into an idiot in the presence of Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt is one of the only highlights of this. I think he understood the assignment in terms of how he is portraying a Vulcan with an interest in humans. About the one thing that I actually got a legit chuckle out of me was the post-credit stuff between him and Spock. Not all of it, but a couple bits of it. Yeah, a couple bits of it got to me. I think the one that really got me was Patton Oswalt's character imitating the too slow thing and then going, victory, I am human, but I am not. I am Vulcan. That one got me. That was the one bit I like in its throwaway gags after the freaking credits. Anyways, in his presence, Una turns into the exact kind of rom-com heroine that I cannot stand, who just turns into a walking disaster who can't form a coherent sentence, and every other word out of her mouth is a freaking lie for no goddamn reason. Her being giddy over this guy, fine. It was kind of cute for the contrast of the two of them, because you wouldn't think to look at them as a pairing. Just visually, there's a lot of contrast there, and I think that kind of worked. But then she just blurts out, "I got married to Spock," and that was the point I had to mute it. That was the point that I had to mute it. And then it gets worse because she's like, "And we have children, 2 children." I'm like, what? Why does anyone think this is funny? I don't understand. I legitimately don't understand why people being this embarrassing and knowing that they're being embarrassing is funny. I don't understand. Look, I've been called a comedy snob. I've been called that to my face by my friends. So I understand there's a lot of stuff that people find funny that I don't. Most of it, I at least understand the theoretical appeal of. I don't understand why this is supposed to be funny. It just hurts me to watch. And the fact that we came in with the cringe I was expecting, and then we doubled down on it with even worse cringe from Una. Oh my God, this was scientifically created in a lab to hurt me specifically. And then This is what goes on with La'an. Now, I thought that what they were doing was what they were doing with her was like, there is a more, especially if you go further back in Vulcan history, there is and can be a vicious streak in Vulcans. So I was wondering if that was the intent of what they were doing, was that she, for whatever reason, kind of brought out this specific aspect that maybe you could even argue is a little bit more the nature of the species, because this is the kind of thing that is meant to be overcome by their logic. That's why they pursue logic as a philosophy. That's what I thought they were doing, but no. They bring up the idea that her desire to conquer, to start wars, to get people killed is because she's related to Khan. And that is the explanation. There's no cover line for that. That is just eugenics. That is just saying that these personality and experientially driven aspects of a person, like their values, are somehow part of their freaking DNA. I was going to say I can't believe they did that. No, I can believe they did that. This season has been full of nonsense like that is clearly done with no real thought about the implication of what the hell that means. So that I don't even think is a matter of taste. That I think is kind of indefensible. Just as a thing to be thrown out there into the world in general, unchallenged as a concept, and especially for Star Trek. To even imply, much less kind of say flatly, that this violent, warmongering, conquering thing that came out of her is somehow in her DNA because of who her ancestor was. Go to hell. Go to hell validating that notion. That, oh my freaking Lord. Oh. I guess the stuff with Kirk and Scotty was okay. The actors have decent chemistry. That was fine, I suppose. Oh, the dance choreo was kind of nice between La'an and Spock. That was the one tiny salve that I got during that frickin' nonsense. I think that's about it. I think that's about all I've got. You changed 4 people into another race that is supposedly driven by logic, and you come up with a technobabble reason as to why they are taking on the cultural norms when it should have just been a genetic change. And suddenly, not only are they all assholes, which, yeah, Vulcans can be, but they're not all like this. Not only are they all racist towards Spock immediately and repeatedly, which is just uncomfortable. Because, yeah, also no, racism isn't logical. They're also, like, all supremacists. Like, they just are. And the show doesn't really make an argument against that fact. The episode actually kind of validates that they are in some ways better. They're like, the big issue is La'an, and that problem is that, well, she didn't turn Vulcan enough. It brought out this other stuff in her DNA, which, yeah. And then, like, with the rest of them, the problem was they became too big jerks. But, like, they are provably better at their jobs, even though their judgment isn't great. So you're also kind of validating, if not in full, because yes, there was, kind of pointing out of this isn't you, this isn't right or whatever, but it was mostly about personality shifts, basically on pretty much everybody other than La'an. And it in a way, it kind of validates the supremacist attitude that these 4 suddenly had. Because apparently supremacy is also in your freaking genes. This was insulting. This was irresponsible. This was painful. 4.5 Vulcans. You've seen it. What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills. Enables me to do this as my living. Lets me buy hard cider. But even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. All that helps as well. Don't worry too much about it, though. We try and take a relaxed attitude around here, so just come on back. Next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lafula, Monty Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Alyssa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pau Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite, as well as Welsh Wrestling Geeks. So, folks said they wanted the rats back. Here they are. I really should have not worn something that exposed this much skin. Their nails are sharp. Ow. Oh, you guys, get back here.